Check, check, check. All right, let's get to it.
Mic check 1 2 1 2.
What these people gonna do?
What's up, y'all? I'm Tiffany Renee,
It's your boy Derek Brown back in the building one more time.
and you're watching the Net
The
Pod.
net. That's a net.
Why you say ugh like it's heavy?
Because this is a heavy episode.
That it is. I'll start by saying Happy New Year. I know for many it might not be so happy, might not be so joyful. We can both attest to this year being very challenging or having a rough start.
Yeah, I was about to say, not challenging, but it has been a few hiccups on the way into 2024.
Yeah. I would say challenging. For myself, I can say that it has been challenging. So this episode is about
transitions. Death transition.
About transitioning in life. On December 27th, my mom lost her older sister, Valerie Lovett. And
gotta love it.
It has been very it's been a hard pill to swallow for our family. He too has lost an aunt, not this past year, but in 2022. And they were very similar to one another as far as their roles and positions they played in the family. And
the hobbies that they endured as well.
Right, in their jobs. They were both decorators and into the creative world, if you know that's the best way to put it, events and planning and things of that nature. And so she, for one, took over that head of the family, that matriarch role for me, for my mother's side. So both of my grandmothers are deceased. My mom's mom passed in 2019 and my dad's mom passed in 2008. Thank God your grandmother is still with us. But
I'm gonna be a wreck, but
in that same token, your aunt kind of on her generation had taken on that matriarchal role.
So because my grandmother is an evangelist, she's busy with pastoralship and tending to the church, and so you still need that pillar in the family. My grandmother had 7 kids, so it's safe to say she served her time. And so my aunt kind of played that role and was the glue for the family as well. My Aunt Sherry. And with all that being said, during this particular time in her family, it was relatable. It was very relatable. So
yeah, and I think
it's okay.
I think for our family in particular, we didn't quite recognize the weights she carried in our family. And not just like, oh, we were just so full of craziness and she said it had so much on her back, but because she was the oldest, she has seen a lot of different things in our generations. She is connected to both my grandmother and grandfather's side of the family. And so when it came to events or communication or just keeping that family bond going, she was the glue for all of us. And so now that she's not here, of course it's on us, and we 100% take on that role.
This is just an eye opener.
It's an eye opener, and it is very, very difficult. It's very difficult. So I know one thing that we wanted to pose to one another, as far as questioning how we deal with death, is literally, how do we deal with death? How do we move forward in the grief process, which I feel like is a everlasting thing.
I know for me personally, my approach is a bit different. Um, and I'm not 100% sure on why, but I have a few ideas. But when it comes to death specifically or grieving,
Bruh.
it doesn't always hit me immediately. Um, Sometimes it hits me way
Bruh.
later once the dust has settled and everybody's gone and the funeral's over. It's kind of like that lack of presence. It's like, wow, this really happened. Or getting that news and being around family and everybody is torn to bits and pieces. It tugs at your emotions. So
Mhm.
for me, like dealing with it in a sense, I grew up in the church, so for me it's never necessarily a situation where we should be dwelling on the fact that they're gone, but embracing the fact that they no longer have to deal with the turmoils of the world. Any pain that they were enduring is now null and void. Any stress, heartache, whatever the case is, all of that is at rest, and that individual is now at peace. That's how I'm able to say, okay, it's not about me. That's just the time that they pick up the phone and say, hello,
Mhm.
Jesus, that's you. I'm on the way.
Mhm.
So that's how I'm able to kind of get through the next day, just knowing that individual is in a much better place than what we are in now. Now, granted, I do love life, but sometimes you got to answer that call.
Yeah, I think so for me, I have experienced, I don't want to say a lot of death,
A significant amount
but a
within a
significant,
small time frame.
hmm, I wouldn't even say a small time frame. And I think it's because my family is so big, especially on my dad's side.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when it is harder for us, of course, and not just us, but anybody, it's when it's sudden.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what was the case when it came to my Aunt Val. She heard the ringing and answered the call, literally.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I thank God that it wasn't tragic. Um, or I don't even want to say that because she passed away with someone else present.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't even imagine how that person may feel.
Mm-hmm.
Um, or even not even just that person, because there was quite a few people um there, and I can't even imagine that um where it's actually in the act.
Mm-hmm.
Um, with that, so my father's mother passed in 2008. She had a lot of medical issues. Towards the end, was bedridden, like tumors, things of that nature, and that wasn't so sudden for us. You know, we had time to prepare for that, months, years, even of her just being sick, and it was a different kind of pill to swallow because she was the youngest of, I think she has 12 or 13 siblings. So being the youngest, you just never expect that person to go first, right? But we still had time. And we were able to say our final goodbye. So that took place in Alabama. And literally, as we left Alabama that night. It was my dad's birthday weekend, his actual birthday. Technically, she passed away on the 18th because it was that early morning. Um, but I will never forget, we pulled into the driveway, and as soon as we walked through the front door, like we're getting our bags out the car from the trip, and we got the phone call. Like, she transitioned right after we had left Alabama. Um, then with my dad's father, his was very tragic. He was ran over by a tractor on our family land in Alabama. And then it just kind of dwindled from there for their age range. And
Mm-hmm.
so I've lost a lot of aunts, even before then, you know, even cousins. Um, But I think this was the like my top five of sudden deaths
Mm-hmm.
to process. One was my best friend's brother, um, my aunt, my grandmother in 2019. I'll never forget that. Woke up, she had passed away in the car. Car was still running. Um, my older cousin, I was a baby, but I remember bits and pieces. I was 3, so like a toddler. He shot himself in the head playing Russian roulette in our driveway. Um, and then my grandfather with the tractor, because he was as healthy as could be. Um,
So with all of that, how did you process? Like
I
what?
think after my grandfather, I don't want to say a certain side of my emotions turned off, but I think that was my first time where I was like, oh, this is what you mean when you say we're here on assignment. This is what you mean when you say we can be breathing 1 minute and not the next.
Mm-hmm. Tomorrow's never promised.
Tomorrow's never promised. Or um like I know it's hard to say everything happens for a reason and you're really able to grasp it. But now looking back and seeing all the things that have changed because of my grandfather's death,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, in the most respectful way, you needed to die, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even with my aunt, in all honesty, I don't think anybody in my family at this stage, even though it's been what 2 weeks as of last
Mm-hmm.
Thursday, um, can still. Oh my gosh! So tomorrow makes 3 weeks. Jesus, it's still, it's unreal. It's so unreal. Like I, I don't even know. This is the first one where I have to tell myself she won't be your florist for your wedding. She won't, you can't pick up the phone and call her right now. Like, you can't, you won't see her. I lived with her for, right before I moved here, I lived with her for 2 years. So, even thinking about my mom now being there on her own, it still isn't like it's processed, but it still hasn't processed for real. Um, I say all that to say the thing that's getting me through right now is remembering the memories and being thankful for the memories and using this technology of ours for good. I am
Mm-hmm.
so thankful for and I'm not a picture girl. I'm so thankful for my cousins and the times I did, take pictures and record videos and just to have those to laugh and smile and cry and feel every emotion. That is one thing that I always try to do is you got to feel it. You can't become numb to it. And I know it's so much easier said than done. For me personally, I cannot become numb to it because I know that it's my responsibility and a part of my purpose to help my people not become numb to it, if that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Um, and in the same token, it's another level in my head that has been activated in what needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
By that, I mean, okay, she's impacted so many lives. She played this role in the family. These things got done because of her. Okay, Tiff, it's time for you to step up. You got to do these now. Um, and it's crazy because when you look back, you start to see where you started to feel those positions. Or for me, I started to see where I started to feel those positions already. Like, I am huge on family, huge. And unfortunately, on my dad's side of the family, I didn't grow up with my like immediate cousins like I did on my mom's side. And it was because my dad had one sibling versus his cousins had 12 siblings. And so all of those kids grew up literally as first cousins. And I wasn't that first cousin. And they weren't siblings. And so just the relationship was different, but they're all my cousins, right? So when it comes time for that legacy to keep, that image to uphold, shout out to BE Mays. I feel like that's my responsibility. And I wear that with pride to know that I was entrusted to take on that role or responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that I am because that validation I got while she was still here, or because of even the validation that's been given afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
and not just by the outside world, but to myself from God. I know that in doing certain things, preparing for the homegoing celebration, I could literally hear the thank yous, the I'm proud of you, you're doing great. I can hear the joy in those decisions. And of course, God used other people as vessels in times.
Mm-hmm.
And it was some text messages. Shout out to those who um, reached out during this difficult time.
It's very
Um,
important to have a support system. So we
yes.
definitely do appreciate y'all. Um, Please don't ever feel as though whatever has been done on your behalf was overlooked or anything. It was just a very difficult time, and there was a lot of different moving pieces because of the fact that everything was so sudden. So
Mm-hmm.
we definitely appreciate y'all. The family appreciates y'all. Anybody that reached out um, on my behalf, so to speak, or like my friends and family that reached out, just know we appreciate y'all.
Yes.
It
I
takes a village.
It takes a village, and I cannot express how much, even if it was a simple I send my condolences. That type of stuff means so much to me. I am a type of person that I show up for my people. And so when people show up for me, I do not forget that. I don't. I will never forget it. Um, I say all that to say it's hard to deal with deaths. Deaths are not something that even some people try to avoid it in a sense. Like, I don't know. It's something that is just looked upon differently amongst other people. And so my advice is to feel your emotions 100% and to make sure that when you're going through the process or when the process starts, because I think grief is forever. When the process starts, you don't only feel the emotions, but you communicate to somebody about how you're feeling. I don't care if it is a stranger. I don't care if you write a letter and tape it to a desk in the library, public library, school library, whatever, for somebody to read. Get it off your chest. And if you need someone to talk to, call a hotline, call a friend, call a family member, somebody.
We do have some plans um, to ensure that the names of Valerie Lovett and Sherry West continue to live on and build a legacy on top of what we've already started and tried to establish. But again, it takes a village. We need y'all just as much as y'all may possibly need us. So keep that in mind as well, and continue to just love on one another. And even if it's a stranger, we just life is too short. It's way too short.
It is. And we're gonna do it for the people. Like Thug say.
Free thug.
um, what is something that you feel like you have learned from this?
I learned that my emotions may not be the same as everyone else.
Okay, that's a
And
good one.
so um, everybody processes things differently.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I know sometimes I need to play that role of the supportive one, but I know that if I can't play that role, that's still okay.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm broken down just as much as the person beside me,
And we
that is
broken down
okay.
together,
That
babe.
is okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that is something that I've learned with not only just grieving, but understanding how my emotions work.
Yeah.
So
I think I don't want to say I learned because of death, but I guess if that's the question, then I need to stick to that. Something death, any death, always teaches me a bit, just a little bit, of the core of individuals around me.
mm-hmm.
When I say that, I mean, you know how they say after someone dies, things just things change, right? Things change within families, people change. It's a true statement. It's a very, very true statement. Um, Sometimes you see the good, sometimes you see the bad. I think in those moments, though, whatever you see, although it might be driven by a lot of emotion and pain and agony and all of those type of things, there is some truth to it. And so my advice to people is to just be aware of that. Be aware of your surroundings at all times. But when some hit the fan, be aware of how the people respond and react to that shit hitting the fan.
Why did you censor yourself the first
I
time, but
just
not
gotta
the
say
second
it.
time?
I just gotta say it.
We're probably gonna bleep it anyway.
Well, maybe, maybe not. Um, Also, to remember that there's always a pot of gold and a rainbow after the rainfall, and that the rainfall is necessary. That's what I keep my family right now are continuously telling ourselves. Like, of course, when it's just so sudden, it's just different. But we're constantly telling ourselves it has to rain. It has to. Things need water to grow,
It's
and
natural order.
it's natural order. The only things that we are sure of once we are birthed is that we will die. We just don't know when. Um, and all that we can do is prepare as much for our time. And when I say that, I don't mean like, oh, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I'm gonna die one day. I mean, live your life like to the fullest. Live every moment like it's your last. Do right by people. Stay true to yourself. And if there is something, not if, because there's something that was planted inside of each and every one of us. And I promote any type of what's the word I'm looking for?
Growth,
Um,
evolution, trans. Oh no, not
nope,
transition.
nope. I can't think of the word right now. But any type of, I don't even want to say self efficacy.
Betterment.
Find yourself, right? Figure out what your purpose is in life and strive for that purpose.
Self-evaluation.
Not that either, but that's good. Evaluate yourself and strive for it. Um, and as long as you are making steps and doing what's right, as long as you're making mistakes and saying, damn, I effed up, as long as you are overstepping and realizing, like, oops, I overstepped, I apologize, as long as you are being emotional and yelling and cursing people out and then taking a step back and like, I should not react. I should respond. I need to do better. They're owed an apology. I'm sorry, God. Please help me to work on this. As long as you're doing that part.
Because you don't even know who you just cussed out gonna be here tomorrow. Not the last conversation you had with them, you cussed them out.
Yep. Or you don't know if you're going to be here tomorrow. So if you did it,
But
just own up to it.
You live with that.
And own up to it. Be apologetic. Be empathetic. Sympathetic. Be kind. And just say, you know what? We're all human. We all make mistakes. God, I'm sorry. People, I'm sorry. And you'll end up where you need to be when your time is called.
Yeah.
You agree?
I do agree.
And if this man says that he's going to make it happen and he's going to be there, 9 times out of 10, he's going to be there. Okay?
Sure. I definitely love my community.
Yeah, any community. He's here for supporting the communities. So, yeah, just let us know. Thanks for watching.
No, we appreciate y'all for real. Do you have a safety net? If so, what, who, where is it? If not, what would one look like to you?
I do have a safety net, of course. Boy, of course you're part of it. I think in this moment right now, with everything that's going on, my family has been a safety net. This is a shared experience for us, and we are sharing in it. We are being glad in it. Of course, not glad because.
And be glad in it. And be.
Of course, not being glad that she's gone, but being glad that she lived one hell of a life. And when I tell you she put her foot on the necks of some of these folks in Atlanta, like, she made a huge impact in the city. And we're so thankful that we didn't get to just experience that, but so many other people got to experience Valerie Lovett. We're so grateful for that. And we are creating that net with each other. We're literally holding each other's hands right now.
Mm-hmm.
And just reminding ourselves, whatever has happened in the past, if it wasn't bad, it's irrelevant because we're here now. I mean, if it was bad, it's irrelevant because we're here now and we got each other. And there's more bad times to come, more deaths to come, right? Like I said, the one thing we're sure of, but we still gonna have each other then. So that's my safety net. What about yours?
I think right now that my safety net is this house and the scripture.
Amen.
Doing a lot of self-reflections and trying to figure out what those next steps look like. Kind of really does bring you closer to your religion, whatever your respective religion is. And so in this house, we practice Christianity and just staying true to that word and following in that path, and not trying to harp on being discouraged or disappointed or too curious on what the plan is, but just really just being steadfast and strong in the faith is something that has been a safety net for me over these past couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. And so it may not be something that's vocalized every day, but I do kind of make sure that I have my moment and say, hey, Big G, I just wanted to talk to you and just say thanks. You know, I'm here, I'm breathing, I'm moving and grooving. So I just appreciate the little things in life a lot more. And I try to ensure that I don't go into the next day with baggage from the day before.
Amen. That was good.
Yeah.
That made me think of the church song.
You was moved.
I was in my zone over here, just thinking about everything when you mentioned that. And it just made me think of "Just Want to Praise You," the song that was on our program for when my aunt passed away, and it basically says, "I just want to praise you forever and ever for all that you've done for me." And I think it was so um intentional with choosing that song for that day, and so intentional in life, because I think we get so caught up in everything else, even material things, and we need to take more time to just say, to stop and say, you know what, God, I woke up on my own today. You know what, God, I got on some clean drawers. I'm thankful for that.
Do you got a thing? All right, I'm sorry.
I was able to brush my teeth with my toothbrush, with running water, with toothpaste that I was able to purchase because you supplied all my needs. Like, I just want to praise you. Anyway, and what's the next question? Final question. What's your safety net? And then what is one thing that you know is never ending tomorrow? Sorry, we made that face at the same time.
We did. Dang. Something that I know that's never ending tomorrow. My drive and passion to do better in this life, to provide the best example that I can for anybody that encounters my presence.
Okay, talk that talk. I think for me, one thing that I know is never ending tomorrow, and I'm just so grateful for continued validation. Um, I know that my creativity is never ending tomorrow. And you know how you have people in your life when it comes to like an event or organization or like a business, like there's always ideas. I always have ideas, and I'm so thankful for that. And I know that a lot of these ideas that I have are going to come into fruition, and God's going to make it happen, right? And not just for me, not just for us in our legacy and our families, but so many other people. Um, I'm thankful because I feel like that's getting sparked again. And I think you can lose your spark just going through life. And for me, I did a lot of the right things throughout my life. Go to school, do the internships, go to school, do the internships, get the job, do this, get the good grades, get on this team and this team, do the newspaper, I've done so many of the right things. I got lost in the quote unquote way of life, the American dream, that way of life, and I forgot about, or I pushed aside my creativity, and I think that I am stepping into that realm again. And I'm appreciative of that. Even when my friends or family have some ideas and they'll throw it at me, I'm good for like, what if you do this, or what if you do that? And so I hope that I am given more opportunities to do that in the future, not just for me, but like for other people. So
that's beautiful.
That's one thing that's never ending tomorrow. All right, we're not gonna keep y'all no much longer.
She not gonna keep y'all no much longer.
What you gonna keep them for?
I'm not.
Well, I'm not keeping y'all either. Nah, I'm gonna hold on to y'all. Put y'all in my back pocket. You can't go nowhere without me.
Not in the back pocket. This is the front pocket on the side.
We love y'all. Peace up. A-Town that. All right.